The 20-year legal battle involving this massive house built in Meath, Navan, County Meath, over 20 years ago without planning permission. That is continuing to run. However, the Supreme Court has now refused to hear an appeal aimed at preventing the demolition of this massive County Meath home. The house was built about 20 years ago without planning permission. The Supreme Court has rejected the couple's application for a further appeal aimed at preventing the demolition of their large County Meath home built in, quote, willful breach of planning laws almost 20 years ago. This report is from the Irish Times. Mary Carolan in the Irish Times. Chris Murray and his wife Rose sought a further appeal after the Court of Appeal ruled last August that there was, quote, no merit to their appeal before that court. Mr. Justice Senan Allen in that Court of Appeal decision said the appeal concerned an action which, while initiated in September 2022, was the latest battle in a 20-year dispute about the fate of this unauthorised development at Faughan Hill, Meath, Navan. The Murrays were refused permission in 2006 to build a house on the lands, and the couple, quote, undaunted and in willful breach of the planning laws, built a house anyway of some 6,220 square feet, twice the size of the property for which permission was refused, the judge said. Meath County Council took proceedings in 2007 under Section 160 of the Planning Act 2000, and the Supreme Court in 2017 upheld High Court orders for them to remove any unauthorised development from their land. They were given 1 year to vacate the property, and when that was not complied with, the Council issued contempt proceedings in 2019 that settled in 2020 on terms involving the Murrays agreeing to vacate the property within 2 years to facilitate the Council demolishing it. 3 days before they were to vacate, the Murrays issued a case against the council, claiming that there was new evidence relating to land sterilisation agreements made by the previous owners of the land that invalidated the council's planning refusals. The High Court last year granted a council application to strike out that case as frivolous, vexatious and an abusive process, and refused injunctions restraining further action or proceedings by the council pending a further hearing concerning their new evidence. Among its findings, the High Court concluded the new evidence would not have affected the outcome of the planning refusals. It also held their challenge to the constitutionality of Section 160 of the Planning Act could not succeed. After they lost their appeal to the Court of Appeal against the High Court decision, they asked the Supreme Court to hear a further appeal. So Supreme Court for the second time. In a determination published last week, the Supreme Court refused to permit further appeals by the Murrays. Having set out the history of the case, the Supreme Court said the couple had failed to engage with the High Court and the Court of Appeal findings that they could have raised any challenge to Section 160 at the time it was invoked by the Council, and when it was litigated in the superior courts. They did not do so then and had offered no reason why they should be permitted to do so now. Contrary to what they argued, the hearing of an application under Section 160 is not a criminal trial, the court said. The couple were not prosecuted for any offence, whether minor or serious, and claims made otherwise were without foundation. The orders sought by the Council under Section 160 of the Planning Act were not sanctions or penalties. They were directed at removal of a building erected without regard to the planning laws, the court said. The purpose of an order under Section 160 was to enforce the planning laws by undoing unauthorised development. The argument that the appeals raise points of law of general public importance and that an appeal is in the interest of justice are, quote, manifestly misconceived, the Supreme Court has held. So the Supreme Court is refusing to hear any further appeal in relation to this house at Meath, built by the Murrays some 20 years ago.